I had no lawyers in my family. And in high school, I kind of vacillated between wanting to be a psychiatrist and an actress. And the psychiatry thing didn't work because you had to go to medical school to do that. And when I realized how squeamish I was in biology class trying to dissect a frog, I figured that medical school is probably not for me. The acting thing, my mother was a school teacher and she was very practical. And so acting was not particularly practical. And aside from that, knowing myself, I knew there would be like a high rejection factor. And I wasn't sure I could deal with the rejection. But I had an aha moment during a career day. It was my junior year, and an African-American female lawyer came to speak to us. She started law school when she was 40. And I remember just being so impressed with this woman, the way she dressed, the way she presented herself, the way she spoke. And I recall thinking, I want to be like her. She's a lawyer. It sounds good. And soon after that, my mother took me to an event, and the keynote speaker was the late Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. And she was powerful. And she was a lawyer. And so that sort of cemented it for me. That's what I want to do. When I clerked for the first judge, the appellate court, state court judge, I was really impressed with his judging, his intellect. He was intellectually honest. I had a case where it was a criminal case, and he was considered ultra-conservative, an ultra-conservative jurist, and was usually not inclined to reverse criminal convictions. But I convinced him that this person had been wrongfully convicted. He agreed, and somehow the other two on the panel also agreed. And I remember thinking, you know, I'm not sure he would have done this, but for listening to my argument. And I just thought that that showed just, you know, such a tremendous honesty, and that he just wanted to reach the right decision, even if it meant overturning a criminal conviction. And then there was, and let me just back up a little bit. He wrote a letter of recommendation for me. Not only did he write a letter of recommendation, he actually made 12 original copies. So I had 12 seals, you know, and which was great in terms of applying for jobs. So when I applied with the bankruptcy judge, Peter Elliott, what I didn't know at the time is that Judge Elliott was someone who placed a lot of stock in recommendations. And so it was really, I think, on the strength of that recommendation from Justice Kaufman that I got the clerkship with Judge Elliott. Judge Elliott was very similar to Justice Kaufman, just like a judge's judge, just wanted to make the right decision. And so I learned a lot from those two judges about judging, about you know, following the rule of law, about doing the research, doing the work. And I think I decided at the conclusion of my bankruptcy clerkship that someday I wanted to be a judge. I have an older cousin who swears that when I was 8 years old, I told her I wanted to be a judge. I wish I remembered that, because it would make a great story. I have no memory of it whatsoever, but I will take her word for it. But probably the most pivotal person was a relatively unknown bankruptcy judge, female bankruptcy judge named Lynn Riddle. And before Judge Riddle became a judge, she was a bankruptcy lawyer. one of the few female bankruptcy lawyers in Orange County. There were only a handful. But she was pretty senior, and after I started practicing law, she would gather all the female bankruptcy lawyers together, and we would meet for dinner, we'd meet at each other's homes, and, just kind of talk about our careers and, issues maybe we were having with the law firm. And it was a safe place for the female lawyers to just sort of, vent and be supported. She and I served on some committees together, and after I had been in practice for maybe 8.5 years, she suggested one day, she says, well, there are 2 new judgeships in the Central District, and I think you should apply for one. And at the time, I was 35 years old, hadn't practiced that long, and I didn't think I was ready. I knew I wasn't ready. And I said, well, I'll give it some thought. And then I proceeded to give it no thought whatsoever. And a couple of weeks later, I ran into her again. This time, she actually handed me the 35-page judge application. And she says, no, I really think you should consider this. So I took the application, because she was the judge, and I couldn't say, no, I won't take it, and started flipping through it. And I realized, I think I could do this. I think I'm actually qualified to do this. And this is after practicing mostly Chapter 11 small to mid-sized business reorganizations, usually representing the debtor, not much on the consumer side. But I felt comfortable enough that I decided to apply. I told no one. Well, I had to tell by then I was a new partner in the firm, I had to tell my law partners, swore them to secrecy. I didn't tell my own mother that I was applying, because I didn't want anyone asking me, so where are you in the process? Did you get an interview? None of that. I told no one. And it made for some awkward situations. I recall being at a bar function, and there was another female lawyer who was very well known in the community, and she had applied, and she told everybody that she applied. And there were 3 of us standing together, and one woman says to her, well, you're a shoo-in. I hope you get it. I know you're going to get it. And I'm thinking, I hope not. Anyway, so I got one of the positions. And I recall calling my mother, and I said, I'm going to be leaving the law firm. And she's, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm just going to sit. And she's like, what? I'm going to sit. I'm just going to sit on a bench. Well, she didn't get it. I finally just had to come out and tell her. But it was like the most significant point in my career, because but for this judge handing me the application, but for her actually believing I could do it, because I initially didn't think I could, but for her doing that, I would have never sought it out, and at least not at that time. And so she completely changed my life, and I call her my career angel.